And we are live. This is going to be session 8 of 8 here on an amazing day 1 of Dare to Be Great 2020. Thank you all for being here and just going through all of this with us, getting all this knowledge, this continuing education, and all of us doing this together as a basically a for 911 by 911 type thing. And this is going to be excellent. I have known Sam for a long time now. We were just talking before we went live, and it's been since about 2013, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So for Samantha Sturgis here, her session is called Sit, Stand, Repeat. And Samantha has been dispatching for almost 15 years, beginning at county level and now at a smaller department as a supervisor. She's been on the planning committee for 3 state conferences and recently became a board member of the Michigan NENA board. So thank you very much for being here, and you may go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is amazing. And before I get started, I just want to thank Ricardo and Leah and all the other speakers. Shout out for Within the Trenches. I'm supporting wearing my t-shirt. This has been phenomenal. And none of us knew how this was going to play out. And for those of you who have been hanging in there all day, I appreciate it. I know this is available for replay as well. But it's just so awesome to see, when I started watching this morning, we were at 1,500 people registered, and I'm seeing it's up to almost 1,700 now, just in today, people registering, not necessarily on at the moment, but those are phenomenal numbers. So thank you, Ricardo, and everyone else that made this possible. And before I get into my slideshow, which you can all see, I just wanted to give a little background as to why this topic is something that I like to talk about. When I first started dispatching, I was the ripe old age of 18. I could eat 3 pizzas, eat whatever I wanted, do whatever I wanted. I was healthy and invincible like most 18-year-olds. I had a couple kids. Not much changed. I was lucky in that regard. Early on in my career with Livingston County, I went to a class with Jim Marshall, actually, who you all heard from today, about the emotional terrain of the job. We all know that it can take a toll on us. But then a couple of years into my career, I noticed physical things, not emotional. Weight gain, trouble sleeping, lots of other issues. And I started thinking, nobody's talking about how this job affects our physical health. There's classes, Jim was out there talking about our emotional health, but nobody was talking about physical health. So that's kind of where, look at me already slacking. This is introductions. That's where I got into this, was a personal journey. I was looking for ways to better myself and my health while doing a job that I loved. So that being said, these are the things I'm not. I'm not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I am not a fitness coach or guru or anything like that. Dare I say it in this crowd, I am just a dispatcher, and I mean that in the best regard. I'm a dispatcher and a mom, and I'm busy, and I'm the stuff I'm showing you guys today is what I have found in my personal journey. I'm not claiming to be an expert in any of these fields. I'm going to share with you guys the things I've found helpful. At the end, I'll show you, some resources and where I got some of this information, but I really encourage you guys to do your own research or find what works best for you. So that being said, the poll, which I want to peek and see, I asked at the very beginning, how many of you feel this job has played a negative role in your health? I think it's no surprise that 92% as of right now say that yes, you feel the job has had a negative effect on your health. Normally, when I give this presentation in person, I'll ask that by a show of hands, and that's usually the response I get is pretty high, that we do feel the negative side effects. So I want to talk about that. Before I go into the next slide, at least I think it's the next slide, look how prepared I am. Sedentary lifestyle. I think this is just a definition. We all know what that means. It means that you have a job or a lifestyle where you sit a lot. You're not active. We're certainly not the type of job where we're out moving around. Most of us are sitting for 8, 10, 12, even 16-hour shifts. So I would say that that's a sedentary lifestyle, especially when, is it the average American, according to some of the medical websites I read, said that the average American sits for 11 hours a day. So as dispatchers, I think we're obviously higher than the average American with how much we sit all day. And when you Google the side effects of sitting or having a sedentary lifestyle, I like to give this comparison. It reminds me of those prescription medicine commercials. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but they tell you, take this medicine, it will cure all your ailments, and you'll feel great. And they show happy people. And then at the end, really, really fast, they try to sneak in all those side effects that sound horrible. May cause wheezing, lack of sleep, weight gain, diarrhea, things that none of us, if you listen to the commercial, you're like, why would I take that? Even my children have said, why would you take that, when they hear the tail end of those commercials, right? So when I read these side effects, that's how I feel. You're talking higher blood sugar, blood pressure, weight gain, risks of cancers. For me, diabetes, and I'll use my personal story, like I said, as an example to you guys. When I see diabetes on this list, yeah, Tony, we'll get to the death part. When I see diabetes, that hits home. I have a family history of diabetes. I am not diabetic at this point, but anytime I see that as a risk associated with something I'm doing or my lifestyle or my work, it's alarming to me because I know that I'm already at risk for that. So when I see diabetes come up on these lists, that bothers me. And yes, death sounds so dramatic to throw that in at the end. But if you look at the list above and some of the things that they're saying, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, those things can cause death. So is it dramatic to say sitting too much will kill you? Maybe a little bit. But one of the articles I read indicated that if the average American cut their sitting time in half, remember the average American being 11 hours, if they cut that in half, you can increase your life expectancy up to 2 years. And so if the average American can add 2 years by cutting their sitting time in half, what could a dispatcher do? If we're sitting more than the average American, maybe we could add 3-4 years. There's not been a study on that, but it makes you think. Especially when you start diving deeper, there's some websites that are calling sitting the new smoking. And that's, I don't know, that stands out to me because smoking, we all know how bad that is. It's obvious, it's a no-brainer, we shouldn't do it. But to associate or compare being, sitting too much with smoking, that's huge. So if there's medical professionals that think it's that bad for us, I think we should be aware of it. In addition to all those side effects, the minute you sit down, your body produces electrical impulses and enzymes. And the minute we sit down, the production of those drop. And some of those enzymes are for the breakdown of fat and things like that. And literally the minute we sit down, since I've been sitting here, my production of those enzymes has dropped. After 2 hours of sitting, you have the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol. After 2 hours of sitting, the production of the good cholesterol drops. So if you're someone, diabetes is one of my trigger side effects, if we want to call it that. If someone, in your family has a history of bad cholesterol problems, and that sitting down for 2 hours is going to drop your production of good cholesterol, then I think that would grab my attention. And after 24 hours, again with the diabetes, 24 hours of sitting, which is a large amount, but you get the picture, the production of insulin drops. So again, that brings that back to the forefront of my mind. So yeah, enough about that. That's just one, that's the tip of the sword, if you will, the sitting. Then you throw in shift work. Everyone's probably familiar with the circadian rhythm or your body's natural clock. We are internally wired, day and night. Your body has certain processes that are associated with the time of day. And, by nature at night, your body wants to sleep. It has certain, productions it wants to be working on. It knows that it's night. So when we throw off our circadian rhythm and we do shift work, which is not avoidable in this industry, there's a whole nother set of side effects, or your prescription medicine commercial that I like to call it, associated with that. And just like I had death at the bottom of the first list, you'll notice at the bottom of this list is decreased quality of life. Because if you look at some of the effects, the gastrointestinal problems, the cancers on there again, sleeping problems, all these other problems, I think it's safe to say that you're going to have a lower quality of life if you're experiencing all these things. And another one that jumps out at me personally on this list is the stroke factor. Having known some people in my life that have experienced strokes, seeing that shift work for a long period of time is just going to increase your risk for that. And I know a lot of third shifters, they stay on that shift. You either love it or you hate it. You work until you can get off third shift and come back to days, or, or you're a night person and you like it and you stay there. So I think it's important to note some of the long-term effects too. And then another set of issues, and I have some props I'm going to show you guys too when we get to it. But another issue, in addition to the sitting, the shift work, then you add in the computer monitors. I don't know about you guys, depending on what position I sit at, I have 5 or 6 monitors. You can, blurry vision, dry eyes, double vision, neck pain, headaches. These are all things that can stem from sitting and staring at screens for the length of time that we do. Let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Ergonomics. I know some of us in our centers have, if you're lucky enough, your center may have looked for the right chairs or the right keyboards or desks that raise up and down, and that's fantastic. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But back to the vision, yes, this can cause, I actually had my first ocular migraine in the last couple of years, possibly from exactly that, from staring at all the screens. And then last but not least, before we get into the proactive portion of my presentation, is food choices. These stats are from a survey I did a few years ago when I did this presentation, and I think it's a no-brainer. 33%. And this is my weakness, you guys. I'm not coming at this as I've mastered all these. I'm a work in progress. These are things that I aspire to do better at, and I'm just sharing them with you. I think we all know it's common sense that eating fast food every day or multiple times a week is not good for us. Neither are, how many of you have this in your repertoire, or I'm not a fan of these, or the Monsters, the Red Bulls, but my weakness is pop or soda. And I've had to try to cut back on that and drink more water and coffee, caffeine. That's what we thrive off of, right? And those things are not good for us either. So again, pretty common sense when it comes to this portion, but it is, I think it's pretty well known. We don't always make the best food choices. I know when I work midnights, I might eat. I might eat out of boredom, or we might come home and emotionally eat after rough calls. And those are all things to consider. And that leads me to this next one. This is just a visual. This isn't anything statistical. This is just, I think, all of the things we just talked about, all of the slides I just showed you are a vicious cycle. Okay, so I might come home after a long day at work. I'm tired, mentally drained. So I don't feel like exercising. I don't feel like going and doing anything. Or I might have had a hard call. So I come home and I emotionally eat. And what happens after you emotionally eat? Do you want to get up and go exercise? No. And then from not exercising and eating poorly, you might gain weight. After you gain weight, then you really don't have the energy to exercise, and you just continue. It's a vicious cycle. And I found myself in the middle of it, as I'm sure many of us have at some point. And you just kind of don't know how to get out of it. And what kills me is that when I started doing the research on this, I was still going to the gym regularly. I had noticed a weight gain and I was frustrated. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not drinking pop. Why am I not seeing any improvement? Well, I'm still doing the job, the sedentary job. I'm sitting all day. And one of the studies showed that increased risk of all those things we talked about in the beginning is independent of gym time. So for example, if I'm going to the gym 3 to 4 days a week, but I'm still sitting for 12 hours a day, I'm not decreasing any of those risks or side effects from the beginning that we talked about. You need to cut down that sitting time. So it's not about going to the gym after work and thinking, yep, that's enough. It's about not sitting for as long as we're sitting. And to me, that was another alarming, eye-opening moment. It was like being told, hey, it's great, you're going to the gym, but it's not helping. So important to think about. And now that I've, been dramatic with the death and the diabetes and all those horrible things, I want to talk about the fun part, the what we can do to combat that. So moving forward, standing, like I said earlier, I'm fortunate in my center, we have stand-up desks, so I'm able to stand. Standing, as you can see, burns 2.5 times as many calories as sitting. Also helps breaking down those fats and sugars. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term, who's heard it, dispatcher spread, dispatcher butt, dispatcher 15, 20, whatever you want to call it. But it's a known fact. Sitting and putting pressure on like thighs and your legs, your bottom, that increases fat production. So standing up for a portion of your shift or having an alarm or just noting the time, stand up every hour for 10 minutes. And at the end of a 12-hour shift, that's 2 hours of standing time. So that's the easiest, simplest thing we can do. Resistance bands. I have this little one. I'm sure you can see. It's really small. It's usually folded up in the pocket of my purse at work. And if things are slow, I will get it out. Simple as just sitting at my desk and just doing little arm exercises. Or I will stand up. I won't do it here because you won't be able to see, but I will put it around both of my ankles. And then I stand and I just do leg lifts. Standing at my desk, I can answer the phone and continue my leg lifts with a resistance band. And then I switch. To this date, I have not been caught by coworkers using my resistance band yet, but who knows, it could happen. I keep it in my purse. I actually have one of my coworkers who does the same. And I'll get it out every once in a while. Like I said, just doing some stretching with that. That's a really easy way to do it. 1 year for, like I said, sorry, I'm reaching for props. 1 year for National Telecommunicator Week, I had purchased one of these pedals and I brought it home today just to show you guys because this one is really compact. I can hold it up right here in the computer screen. It's folded. It's just 2 folds. And it's a pedal that can go under your desk and you can pedal while you're talking on the phone. It's even got a little display that will track how many rotations you've done or how far you've gone. And we have a very small center where I work, so space is an issue. I know some places get away with treadmills under their desks and things like that. That's not possible for us with our limited space. So that's what I like about this one is it folds up nice and small, fits under a desk, out of the way. And I mean, Do I use it as much as I could? No, but it's there, and it's a tool that we have to try to keep us moving. I do try to stay active, as you can see on the list. About Pam, the compact pedal, I ordered that one off of Amazon. It's been a couple years. I don't remember how much I spent, but it was not a lot. And it's held up. It still works after a couple years. It is a little tricky with chairs with wheels, but if you have a sturdier chair, it's totally doable. And it's a super nice thing to have. I try to, I want to talk about the Fitbits and the step counting for a second. You'll notice the part about folding laundry and standing up at home. I used to despise Fitbits. I thought all of a sudden they came out, everybody had one, and I thought, nope, I'm not going to go buy a Fitbit just because everybody else is counting their steps. And I thought, when I come home, I run around the house constantly. I'm on my feet in the kitchen, cooking dinner, up and down the basement stairs, doing laundry. I clearly get my steps in even after sitting at work all day because I'm go, go, go when I get home. Then my husband got one. He got a Fitbit, and he works outside. He would come home and tell me how many thousands and thousands of steps he did every day. And I felt kind of annoyed at first. And then I thought, I bet you I do just as much as you because I don't sit down. So I went and bought a Fitbit. And you guys, it was depressing. I went and got a Fitbit. Again, I don't sit down from the minute I get home. This is rare for me. I'm go, go, go. So I thought I was golden. I was not. I got the cheapest Fitbit that I could find, like $60. And it turns out on a good day, even with all my running after work, I was putting in maybe 2,500 steps. That was it. It was horrible. I hated finding that out. It was eye-opening. So I got a Fitbit. I do pay attention now. And for those of you, before I got the Fitbit, I wanted to point this out. I have an iPhone. Some of you probably have Androids, and I'm not familiar with those. But on your iPhones, you have Apple Health. And that, if you are someone who has your phone in your pockets all the time, Apple Health will show you how many steps and calculate your elevation and do things. And it's got neat portions where you can track things. I don't use it, but it is there. A lot of people don't even know they're walking around with fitness tracking ability in their phone. So it's good to point out. And then I wanted to point out StepBet to you guys. Again, these are all things that I found helpful. Maybe you won't, but maybe this will just inspire you to find something that works for you. StepBet was a platform. It's an app. It looks like, let's see, I was going to show you guys. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little green shoe looking app. And that is StepBet. It's kind of just like it sounds. It's a bet. So you pay money to join a challenge for 6 weeks. I'm actually in the middle of one right now. And it creates a goal for you based on your step history. So my goal is not as high as some because I don't get as many steps in per day. But I have so many active days where I have to get 7,400 steps. And then I have to get 2 power days where I have to break 9,000 steps. And if you complete the 6 weeks and get all your challenges, you get your money back. All of it. If other people are disqualified from it, you split their money because they don't get it back. So if I get disqualified, I'm out the $40 I put in. But if I don't, and let's say 10 people got disqualified, myself and the other people that complete it get to split their money. So you may make money off completing the challenge. So I'm a dispatcher. I'm money motivated. I'm sure some of you are as well. So really fun app. You could even get your coworkers in on it. Ricardo and I know we have, what was her name? Ricardo. There was a dispatcher who did one of just dispatchers, and it was called Stepping While Saving Lives. So it's definitely something that you could do with friends or strangers. I'm in one with strangers right now. I have no idea who they are, but I'm on week 3 and holding strong. I'm going to have to get up and go pace after this. So Fitbit is not the devil as I originally thought, and it is a helpful tool to see how much we're stepping or not stepping in my case. The desks, this vision. Okay, so this is a lot of the vision stuff. How many of you, this isn't in the polls, but tell me in the comments, do you tweak your settings when you get to work every day? Do you change the brightness or the contrast in any of your screens, or tilt them on the mounts or anything like that? Does anybody do that? I know that before I started doing this, I don't know why it never occurred to me to change the brightness on my computer monitor, or I think we all tilt our screens a little maybe for preference, but this next thing I'm going to show you guys, you've probably heard of them. They're blue light blocking glasses. So this pair, it makes it really reflective in the computer, apparently. I got these at Target for $20-25. They're not prescription. They're just blue light blocking for using devices, your computer screen, your phone screen. And from the research I've done, it's 50-50, word on the street, 50-50 on these between ophthalmologists, optometrists, and Harvard studies, 50-50 on whether they say they work or not. I'll let you be the judge. I see some people in the comments saying that they have used them and had success. I don't wear them every day. I keep them at work because I like them at night. If I work night shift, my eyes get more tired and suffer a little more, and they help me at night. So if I work a night shift, I will wear the blue light blocking glasses. Again, $20-25. I think you could I want to say I use my HSA card for it too. So that's an option, something to think about. I know some of you are saying that you can't change your settings, and I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe bringing up some of those points to management will help, but there are other settings you can change in Michigan. So I'm in Michigan, lean or NCIC or some of your CADs, maybe you can change the color in the settings. I know a lot of the MDCs and the patrol cars have a day and night setting where you can change the color of the background and the text based on the time of day. That might help you as well. Again, a lot of the guys in the MDCs and the cars do that. Food choices, again, I'm not a nutritionist, not some sort of health nut or expert, but I think it's fairly common sense on how we can do better here. More water, less pop, less sugary drinks, less coffee. If you're craving something salty, go for a couple handfuls of popcorn instead of a whole bag of chips. And these are things I struggle with daily, but I think we can all do better. Instead of those 5 takeout meals a week, maybe just getting better about packing a lunch, snacking on something like fresh fruits or vegetables instead of French fries, which are my other biggest weakness. Again, not going to preach to you guys about food. I think it's a no-brainer, but we'll talk about why it's important when we get to the end. Meditation. Here's where I want to take a second. The first thing most people think of, especially if you're a judgmental crowd like we can be, when they think of meditation is this. It's and it's humming or chanting or something spiritual, and it immediately for some reason turns people off. And I'm hoping to negate that today. I teach kids yoga on the side. Oops. And I do meditation exercises with kids that really help you to understand that meditation is not what you think it is. If you look at the definition, which I can't even see it because it's cut off of my screen, but the definition is focusing for a period of time. It can be with the help of chanting or talking, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe for you, meditation is not one size fits all. Maybe for you, it's coloring. I don't know if anybody's into adult coloring books, where the really intricate designs where you really have to focus and take your time, and just kind of relaxing to just focus on coloring. The one that another prop for you guys, when I do the kids yoga, I have these bells. I sit 10 kids in a circle, and I pass probably 10 of these bells around one at a time. And I ring it, I pass it to the next kid. I let them ring these bells to their heart's content, right? So for 2 minutes, it is the loudest, most god-awful thing for the parents that are watching. There's 10 of these bells ringing like crazy. I let them go nuts, pick their favorite sound, whatever. Then I challenge them and I say, let's see, it's never been done before. Let's see if we can pass these bells without making a sound. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, the room that just had 10 kids making the loudest racket looks like this. As they are just so focused on not making a sound with that bell. You know, first round was free. I let them make all the noise in the world. And then I slow them down. And the focus that kids as young as 3, 4 have done this with me. And they've done very, very well. And to an adult, if I said that's meditation, you would look at me like I was crazy. But for those kids, it was meditation, because for a moment they were focused on a singular task or thought, and that was not to make a peep with that bell. And it's always mind-blowing. It's one of my favorite things to do in kids yoga, is to see that focus that they can accomplish. Let's see. There are lots of other ways to meditate. You can do body scans. If you're someone who is really in tune with your physical health, your body, or any injuries or anything like that, simply laying down, closing your eyes in a quiet room, and a body scan is just what it sounds like. Starting with the tips of your toes, working your way all the way up out to your fingertips, and it's just checking in with, wiggle your toes. How do my toes feel today? Feel good. Roll your ankle, stretch your foot a little bit. How does that feel? Feels good. And it's simply that. It's scanning through one body part at a time and seeing how you feel, checking in. You might realize like, oh, it kind of hurts when I took that deep breath. I didn't notice that until I laid down and took inventory, took stock of what's going on with my body. And you can learn a lot about yourself that way and your own wellness. Meditation can be tied into sensory. So another one from my kids' yoga class is I will give them something like a chocolate-covered gummy or a chocolate-covered raisin or something like that. And they close their eyes before I give it to them. They don't know it's coming. They'll put the chocolate in their mouth, and then they just close their eyes, close their mouth. It just sits. And as they're sitting there, and if you're if you're going to eat some chocolate later, try this. Put the piece of chocolate in your mouth, close your eyes, and just sit there. Hold it, and just really feel it, taste it. Normally these kids are gobbling up candy and sweets in 2 seconds flat. They don't taste it, just like you joke with dogs eating treats like a vacuum. They didn't taste it. I will have them hold something melty like chocolate in their mouth, and I will talk them through it. What do you taste? What does it feel like? Is it warm? Is it sweet? Can you feel it sliding over your tongue? And I really just make them pause and enjoy the taste of the chocolate. And then after I've talked them through it for a little bit about how great it is, then it's like, okay, go ahead and finish eating it. And, they always come out of that with a smile, because when do you stop and really enjoy something that you're eating like that? Most of us never. So that's another form of meditation. Alternate nostril breathing. This is one of my favorites. So I would normally make you guys all do this with me in class. Instead, I'm going to watch myself do it on the computer and hope that maybe you're trying it along at home. So it's called alternate nostril breathing. You guys are looking at on your screen some of the positive things meditation can do for you. Alternate nostril breathing can lower your blood pressure, lower your blood sugar, increases respiratory function, and it links. You have left brain, right brain, the two hemispheres of the brain. It harmonizes those two sides of the brain. One side's analytical, one's more creative, and alternate nostril breathing is good for that, for linking those two together. I recommend this when it comes to yoga to my preteens before big tests or something that they're anxious about. You could do this after a stressful call or before getting called into your supervisor's office and you're nervous. It's a good calming technique. So to start, you're going to use two fingers. Usually it's a pinky and a thumb. And you're going to, let's see if I can talk while doing this. You're going to take a few deep breaths before you get started. And ideally, if you were going to do this, you want to sit up nice and tall, close your eyes. You're going to take your right nostril first, and you're going to pinch it closed. Just press on it just enough to pinch it closed. So you take a deep breath in through the left side, and then you switch. Pinch the left closed and exhale through the other side. Then you can inhale through the right while we still have the left closed. Switch. And exhale out the left. So you're alternating your inhale and your exhale through one side of the nose at a time. Ricardo, I know that Ricardo does some yoga, and like he just said, he's utilized this before. It's calming. Usually about 5 sets of that in one side and out the other. And again, when you do it, you want to sit up nice and tall, close your eyes, and just focus on that breath in and out. It really is. It does have a calming effect, I find. And again, maybe that's not what works for you. Hopefully, my hope is that the different types of meditation we've talked about, there's something in there for everyone. Because it's not, like I said, it's not a one size fits all, but it's definitely something that can improve your overall health. And if you guys aren't sick of me showing you apps on my phone after I threw it on the floor, there are also meditation apps. There's one called Meditation Studio that I have on my phone, and they have specific these are the types of guided meditations where they talk you through it. So you sit down in a quiet room or quiet space, you whether you have headphones in or have it playing out loud, they will talk you through a guided meditation, and they'll tell you when to take deep breaths and what to think about. And if that's your cup of tea, there are apps out there. The particular app that I use has free guided meditation for first responders and for veterans. There is a upgraded premium version of the app where you pay money, but you don't have to. Like I said, there are free, there's 3 or 4 first responder ones and a couple for veterans on their app for free. So maybe you tried the sensory or the body scanning and it doesn't work for you. Maybe you try a free meditation app and try the guided meditation. I do challenge you to look and see what works best for you. Try it. Don't knock it till you try it, and don't think of it as just sitting in a circle chanting with our eyes closed, because I think that scares people away from meditation and the benefits. I know Jim mentioned, Jim's presentation earlier, he had the self-compassion exercise. That was very much like guided meditation. That's what that reminded me of. So definitely something to be open to, if you will. And then these are just kind of, this might be a good time to use alternate nostril breathing when you need to take a deep breath before you answer the next call, because it's one of these kind of days. I can't take another one of these stupid call kind of days. And then one more for laughs. I think we've all felt like that at times, right? We do everything right and we take our deep breaths and we still want to smack somebody. That's okay too. Not the smacking, but the feeling like that. Let's see. Yoga. I've done an entire class, an entire presentation where we did chair yoga for the entire time. It's a little hard on a webcam to walk you through an entire sequence, but there are definitely some out there. And I feel like show and tell. This feels like show and tell for you guys. If you Google stretches, resistant band stretches, chair yoga, these kind of things on Pinterest or wherever you want to search for it, you will find all sorts of things that you can print out with stretches, ideas for stretches. Some of them are yoga based, some of them are not. Some of them, this one is all resistance band based. And these were just a couple that I found in the first few minutes, and they can go on for days. So maybe you print a couple of them off and keep them at your desk or your workstation and rotate through them. Maybe you challenge your coworkers in the room to, hey, today we're doing this stretch. Or, this one I like because it's called Get Up Off That Thing. Get Up Off That Thing stretches. And they all have like a pop theme name, like Living on a Prayer and Thriller and Pump It Up, and might be fun. If anyone is interested, I don't know if anyone did the nostril breathing with me, but if you wanted to do a couple stretches, if you've been sitting watching this all day, it's really easy just to sit up nice and tall, take a deep breath in and stretch your arms up as high as you can, and even back up to the side when you exhale. I'm hitting things next to me. But you can get nice stretches in just by sitting up nice and tall is really important, especially in our comfy dispatch chairs. Neck stretches are huge. We talked about all the neck pain that we can have from sitting for long periods and from looking at all the screens. So you can start by gently grabbing your head and pulling one ear down to your shoulder. And you just want to hold for a couple seconds. And you can do both sides. Whenever I teach yoga, I tell everybody, whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other. So if you do something one-sided, make sure you do both sides. Even gentle neck rolls. I have no idea if anyone's doing this with me or if you're all just laughing, but that's okay. Oh, I cracked on that one. And you guys can't see my lap, so it's kind of hard to go into more chair yoga at this point, but there are many other things we can do. You can reach behind where one hand goes underneath and one goes over top. Maybe you can touch your fingers, maybe you can't, but go for the stretch anyway, and make sure you always try it the other side, because one is always going to be tighter than the other. I don't know why that is. Thanks, Kristen. Kristen's doing it with me. So is Tony. And then you can do eagle arms, which is where you try to wind your arms up like a little serpent here. And it really pulls. If you're doing eagle arms, it's where you put one arm over, kind of wrap them around, and you'll really feel the stretch in the back of your shoulder blades on this one. And you always want to try it the other way too. And you can probably hear a snap, crackle, pop. That was my wrist. That'll give you a good shoulder blade stretch. And all of these things, stretching, whether you call it yoga or whether it's technically a yoga pose or not, is going to help with the knee, neck, and back pain associated with the sitting. So there's that. That's a nice little tidbit. And before I go, I think I got all my props out of the way. Before I go into any closing questions and comments or wrapping up of that nature, I want to share these two quotes with you guys. And I have them printed. Bear with me so that I can read them to you, because I feel like they are a good summary of the things I'm talking about. This one's the Dalai Lama, and he says, he was asked what surprised him the most about humanity, and his answer was man. He said because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health, and then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. That is extremely profound, especially if you look at some of the statistics where it says that the sedentary lifestyles that we lead are responsible for $24 billion in healthcare. So when you see the Dalai Lama talking about this, and he's saying that, yeah, it's true. We sacrifice our health to make money. We come to work every day. We sit, which has a toll. It takes a toll on us. And then what do? We earn money that we then go spend on doctor's appointments, possibly for all of these ailments that may or may not have been caused in part by our job. So that's always stuck with me. And I think this is one of the only slides, the first time I ever gave a presentation like this, and Ricardo will correct me if I'm wrong, but this has been in my presentations ever since. No matter how many times I've redone the presentation or updated the information, this quote has stayed in there for that reason. I think it's pretty deep. The other one, now the person quoting this is a registered dietitian, is a professional. Like I said, I am not. But bottom line, devoting attention to both your eating habits and activity level and making improvements where you can is the best approach to preventing disease. The two go hand in hand. You can't outrun a bad diet, but you can't out-eat a sedentary life either. Again, eye-opening for me. It's telling me that I can't go to the gym 5 times a week and just work off the fact that I eat like crap. It's also telling me that I can't just sit around for 12 hours a day and eat really healthy and hope it all works out. It all adds up. And another thing that I read today, actually, was looking for the numbers on how long it takes to create a habit. And I read the 2190 rule. The 2190 rule is 21 days it takes to make a habit. So if you push yourself to make a few small changes in your daily routine for 21 days, then it becomes a habit. If you make it successfully those 21 days, you do it for 90 more. After 90 more days, it becomes a lifestyle. So the 2190 rule, meaning that 21 days of doing something differently creates a habit. After 90 days, you've made a lifestyle change. So these things don't come easily. Think about when you lose weight or quit a bad habit. It's not as easy as turning on or off a switch. It does take time and perseverance and sticking with it. So even if you replace one sugary drink a day with a full thing of water and you start standing up at your council twice a day for 21 days, if you can substitute that one glass of water for something else and stand up a little bit more for 21 days, you've created a good habit. If you do it for 90 days after that, you've made a lifestyle change. Maybe then you can add something else. Maybe then it can become, I'm going to bring my resistance band into work. And not only am I going to stand up every couple hours, I'm going to do some exercises, or I'm going to challenge my coworkers to 21 days of stretching twice a shift or something like that. You know, we can hold each other accountable. We can be in it together. And I think we'll do better. We'll be better if we do that. Again, this is all just based on a personal journey, and it's something I'm still working at every day. I am not where I want to be, health-wise, weight-wise, everything else, but I work at it every day, and I experiment with the changes that I can make and the types of meditation or exercise that work for me. You know, right now, that's step bet. Right now, I'm in the middle of a step bet. But I'll tell you what, we're quarantined and it got me out walking and moving. My daughter and I went for some walks this weekend and it really kept me motivated. So maybe it'll work for someone else too. That's my hope anyway. So moving on, this is just some of the sources where I've gotten some of the information. This is just the statistics about sitting and how long and the side effects. These are just a few of the websites that I have used, but I really want to point out and take a minute before we have questions to talk about the NINA website. If you go to the website, nina.org, it's under programs, or you can just use the link if it'll let you off this slide. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but if it doesn't, under programs on the NINA website, you will see Wellness Continuum. I have been part of a working group with NINA. We are working really hard right now to get this up and running, and it is actually live. You can go look at it. The Wellness Continuum, let's see, I made notes so I'd know what to tell you. As of right now, there are things on there. There's checklists on how to help your coworkers, coping with loss, peer support, compassion fatigue, tips for sleeping, dieting for 12-hour shifts. It's even got some chair yoga and some crisis intervention tips. It's wellness as a whole. Thank you, Leah and Ricardo, for sharing that in the chat. Really great tips and things in there. If you have any sources or resources that you think might be helpful, feel free to jot down my email address from this slide and send them to me as part of the working group. I will be more than happy to submit those for review. Everything on the Wellness Continuum page has been vetted or through a review process, basically meaning we looked at it first to make sure it was applicable or worth your time. And anyone that hasn't seen the Wellness Continuum stuff, if you go look at it, we would love feedback since it's something new and something that we're working on constantly. If you go to it and you dislike something that we have on there, or you think there's something better out there, please jot down my email address and let me know. We would love to hear from you guys so that we can continue to work on our health, our wellness. And I see that there's a couple questions. So just before I get to those, I want to thank you guys again for being here. I know it was a long day, lots of presentations. They were all fantastic. And I'm super glad that some of you stuck around to watch this one. And thank you, Ricardo, for having us. It's been fantastic. Let's see what the questions are.
Of course. Now, if you want to go ahead and go through them, or I can just read them off to you.
No, I think I can handle it. Let's see. Just don't judge my faces here. Which compact pedal do you use? To be honest with you, let me see if it's got a brand name on it. It is Fit-Sit. So let's see. I can even type it in the comments. The brand that it says on it is Fit-Sit. Again, I got it on Amazon. And it, like I said, it folds up. I'll be honest with you. I kind of picked it because it was yellow and black, and that made me think thin gold line. And I'm corny like that. And I liked that it was collapsible and compact. So it has held up. Hopefully others could get some use out of that. Let's see. Lots of great information. Thinking from a bigger perspective with our friends and family and communities now at home. Or working because of COVID, how much of your presentation do you think would apply for the general population who is now working from home? Great question. And honestly, a lot. I mean, how many people, because they're working from home, aren't, maybe at their job when they work in the office, they leave for lunch or they walk down the hall or to the break room or move around. And now they're in their pajamas on their couch working from home. Maybe, I'm guessing. I'm not working from home, but I've heard that's how it's going for some people. There's a lot of people who are probably not getting up and being as active as they normally are. But on the flip side, and this is what I'm seeing in my personal life, my friends and family, a lot of us have also slowed down in terms of, you know what, I've had more time to go on walks with my kids or bike rides or play basketball in the driveway because we're not running and gunning like we normally are. We don't have all these extracurriculars that we usually do, and that's allowed more time for like family fun. So I think it's just something to be aware of. It's something to be conscious of, and we all have to apply it differently. So hopefully, even if your family needs to hear some of this about sitting all day, maybe it helps non-dispatchers too. To me, hearing what the average American could do for themselves by cutting that time in half, I know that as dispatchers, we can do the same, if not more. So great question. And then Ricardo, did you move that? Because now I don't, let me see. I thought there was another one.
Yeah, there's another one there.
Oh, the competition app from earlier, the Step Bet, I think we're referring to. It is, I keep losing my phone every time I show you guys something. It's called Step Bet. I will type that in. But if you can see it, can you see that little bottom corner one at all? It's a little green. It's a green square with a white shoe print, and it's called Step Bet. I'll type it in the comments. It's an app. The app is free. But once to join the competition, you pay anywhere from $20 to $40, which is steep, but that is all the more motivation to not get disqualified and lose that money because you get the money back if you succeed. And for me right now, that's the motivation I need at the moment. So
perfect.
Any other questions? Did I get them all? Looks like they're all gone.
We've got them all. Yeah, that's all the questions there.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, the poll from the beginning, more people chimed in as we were talking, and at the end, 95.5% of you felt that your job played a negative role in your health. So I hope that means that 95% of you took something away from this, anything, or maybe it just encourages you to find something that works for you. Like I said. That's
excellent. All right. Well, thank you again very much for being on. It is always a pleasure to have you on. And I love this session. I just listening and watching a lot of the stuff that you were putting on there. Like for myself, I would have said yes as well for the poll. I didn't have high blood pressure before I started dispatching. And then when I got full on into it, I had it. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of that too was my own fault, because man, those energy drinks were my jam, and there were and eating like shit, that was another thing that really kicked in there. So that was also my fault with it on top of all of that stress.
And on that note, I forgot to mention this, but NBC News yesterday, just last night, posted an article about the Monster and Red Bull and sugary 5 energy drinks. And it was, and I'm sure some of you have seen that in the news, we don't know what those are for us. It's not just about the caffeine. There's other stuff in those things. And you've seen stories where someone had a cardiac episode after drinking those. And there was just a new article. Who shared it? Was it Ryan? Did Ryan share it?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Ryan Dedman might have shared it last night. There's just a new article. Like I said, I meant to mention that too. So I'm glad you mentioned that those are things that are ongoing and evolving, and we are suckers for them because caffeine, right? So
stay away. Some of them taste good. Well, again, again, thank you so much for being on, and for everyone joining, that just registering and being on. Remember, all of this is available for replay. This is the best viewing experience, is doing it through this way. So if you have other friends, coworkers, or whichever who want to jump on this, the videos will eventually go out on YouTube and Facebook, but this is the best way to view it, because you get to take advantage of everything that you're not only seeing now, but all the comments, the polls, the Q&A, everything that is on there. You will be able to, and you get to replay it as many times as you want. And it's always going to be up there, because it's up there until I bring it down, and I'm not planning on bringing it down anytime soon. But it has been excellent. So thank you all for being part of this journey, this Dare to Be Great situation for day one. And we look forward to having you all back tomorrow. Tomorrow starts at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and that is going to be with keynote speaker Joe McCarville of 911 Gold Line Training and his session of 911 Today. I will see you all here in just a couple of minutes. If you want to join in, we're going to jump on for After the Greatness, just a quick chat to recap everything that's gone on throughout the day. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.